so happy to welcome Jeff Kersten back. Jeff is the agency liaison for the Bureau of Consumer Protection. I always have to read the whole thing. Within the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection, which I would never remember if I didn't have it on a piece of paper in front of me. So Jeff's job is basically to travel around the state to do education work for the public, for businesses, for law enforcement, on privacy protection, data security, identity theft, and other areas pertaining to consumer protection. He has been doing this for a long time. Before he was in his current role, he had experience as a police officer, so he's got knowledge coming from multiple directions on these issues. And this is third or fourth time we've welcomed Jeff up here. I've lost count. I do want to let you know that he's doing kind of a little mini tour of the North Woods. So he's done 3 presentations already in Vilas County. This will be number 3, and then he's also going to do 2 additional programs tomorrow. One is going to be this program again, so if you have friends who weren't able to come today, you can let them know that Manitowoc Waters is hosting this program tomorrow. And the Boulder Junction Library is also hosting Jeff to do a session on common scams and frauds. Does that sound right?
Yep.
Okay. So he's around and about, ready to answer your questions, and I will hand it over to him.
Yeah, thanks Sarah for having me back. Always like to come back. So yes, tomorrow morning, I think at 10:30, I'll be at Boulder Junction for common scams and frauds. That's a nice follow-up to this presentation, because these criminals, they're trying to steal our personal information. That's mainly what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about identity theft. But some of those scam phone calls and emails and text messages, they're just out to steal our money. And that's what we're going to go over tomorrow, all the different ways to avoid that and hopefully not lose money to those scammers. You heard about my background in law enforcement. My whole career I've seen this, criminals stealing from people and stealing identities. This is all criminal activity. I hope it doesn't happen to you, but if it happens, we want to report it to the police. Their job is to go after the bad guys, investigate that crime, hopefully apprehend them. But whether they apprehend them or not, the victim still has that aftermath to deal with. And that's kind of where we come in consumer protection, especially with identity theft. We will mediate this type of complaint between you and the businesses and the banks and the financial institutions where accounts have been opened up and fraudulent charges have been made, and we'll work to help you close that stuff down, get that stuff off your credit report, stop the bill collectors from calling, and hopefully, in the process, recover your stolen identity. Identity theft is still the fastest growing crime in the United States. I think it is the fastest growing crime in the whole 8 years that I've been doing this for the state. There's a new victim every 2 seconds, and you can do everything right, and your information can still fall into the wrong hands. So if this stuff happens to you, don't feel bad. Just come forward, report it to us, and we'll help you recover from it. So what is identity theft? It is the criminal use of our personal information to obtain monies, goods, or services. Like I mentioned earlier, we know they're after our money, but the identity thief, he or she's after your personal info, and there's all kinds of stuff that they can do with it. Number 1 here on the list, credit card fraud. Has anybody had this happen? You know the drill, right? We got to cancel the card, wait for the new card to show up in the mail. Hopefully you're not out of town when this happens, and when the new card shows up, just remember to reset up auto bill pay so you don't fall behind on something else. And that's the most common form of identity theft. It's luckily fairly easy to recover from with no financial loss or to the victim. A lot of people think that's it. Well, that's identity theft. We can pack up and go home. But there's so many different other forms of identity theft. They will open up different credit cards that you don't even know about, and they'll get different loans in your name. They'll open up different bank accounts in your name, deposit fraudulent checks, try to pull that money out before the bank detects it. They'll go to the phone store and get their hands on the newest, latest, greatest phone that somebody just came out with. And a lot of times those phone stores will sign up for the next 2 years and you get the phone for free. Well, it's not for free, it's a line of credit as long as you pay your bill for the next 2 years. And so they'll get their hands on these free phones and then they'll just leave the victim with the aftermath of never paying these bills. They'll try to steal a tax return in your name. They might even get a job in your name. Could you imagine last January getting a W-2 mailed to the house with your name and your social security number for a job you've never even heard of, and now all of a sudden the real IRS is looking for tax money in what this other person earned in your name. Some of these forms of identity theft can get a little complicated. So you've heard me say it a couple times, personal information. What is it? What do these criminals need? Or what are they after to steal your identity? At the top of the screen in bold is all it takes. Name, date of birth, social security number. If you think about like the last time you were out at one of those big box stores, what does everybody want you to sign up for nowadays? The credit card, right? And the credit industry makes it so easy to sign up for this stuff. If you say yes to that cashier, they just turn the little keypad around to face you, and all you have to do is just plug in your date of birth, your social security number, and your average annual income. And within seconds, a receipt prints off on that register with a credit limit on it, a barcode, and you could literally go on a shopping spree that day. Well, of course, if you do that with your own info, you're responsible for that bill. But if a criminal does that, they go on the shopping spree. You don't even know this is happening, and now, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9 months later, you get a phone call from a bill collector wondering why you didn't pay this $5,000 outstanding credit card bill, and you hang up on them because you think it's a scam phone call. You're like, it makes no sense to you. It might be a scam phone call, but it might also be a real bill collector, and that could be the first indicator that you're the victim of identity theft. The other unique thing about name, date of birth, and SS number is that that information never changes. It's our whole lives we've had the same name. Maybe a last name change here or there, but pretty consistent. Our whole lives we've had the same date of birth. We don't get to change the year as much as we want to. And our whole lives we've had the same SS number. Even if we show Social Security that your number is in the wrong hands, it's been compromised, they will not give you a new number. I'm not even saying that's bad. I struggle to picture a world where Social Security is handing out new numbers to folks. I can only imagine all the fraud that would take place with that. But the system we have, the number we have, that's our number for life. So once the criminals have it, they always have it. I like to use the analogy of, like back in law enforcement, if somebody burglarized the house, we call the police and the police investigate it. Let's say the burglar stole my TV. Let's say the police catch the bad guy. I get my TV back. Cool, I can kind of right that wrong. If they don't catch the bad guy, I've got insurance, I get a new TV. But with identity theft, even if law enforcement catches the criminal, you can't make somebody forget something. Once that information is out there in the wrong hands, they always have it, and that victim will always have a higher chance of having their identity stolen. Who can be victimized? All of us. I'm not going to make you raise your hands, but if you have a name, a date of birth, and a social security number, you can be the victim of identity theft. Our youngest citizens to our oldest seniors, everyone in between. Obviously, you'll see the bars that are the longest there between, 20 and 50 years old, probably because that's most likely when people are buying and selling houses and cars, and they're just using their credit more, their information's more out there, getting jobs, switching jobs, but all of us can have our identity stolen at any point. So how does it happen? How do these criminals get their hands on our info in the first place? Lots of different ways. They've been known to dig through trash bags, just looking for something that people throw away. Just over at Plum Lake this morning, I heard of a bank that prints off the customer's complete social security number on the bank statement. That gets mailed out every month. You know, and I mean, like, so if that, you know, consumer doesn't notice that or just forgets about it and throws it away, or if that document gets intercepted somehow, it's got the name and the social security number on it, that's a head start for the identity thief. They've been known to steal mail. You know, that red flag on the mailbox on the side of the house? Just a red flag to a thief. There's something in there to steal. Maybe that's somebody paying a bill, even sending off a birthday card or a holiday card with a personal check inside. Who still fills out personal checks for things? Paper checks. Right? Lots of us. You know, not maybe as much as we used to, but there's still a time and place for a paper check. There's a lot of information on a check. Perfect copy of your signature, because it's yours, your bank account number, your bank routing number, your name, your address, sometimes your phone number, sometimes even your driver's license number, a lot of info on that document. And then if that's in an envelope that also has an account statement where you're paying a bill, there's more numbers and pieces of info tied back to your name. Have you heard of check washing? Yes.
I was just going to ask you about that.
Ah, okay, yeah, it was just perfect timing. So check washing. So if a criminal intercepts that personal check, there is a simple household chemical solution. I guarantee you have the chemicals at home. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but Google knows. And a criminal can wash the ballpoint pen and ink off that check. Well, the smart criminals will leave your signature because that's yours, right? The really smart criminals will even leave the dollar amount that you filled it out for and just change who it's paid out to. So you can even be on the ball and you're checking online banking or waiting for that bank statement to show up, and it looks like check number 1234 went through for the right amount. You think you paid a bill, but you have no idea a criminal intercepted it, changed who it was paid to, and went and cashed it. So here is a very simple thing that you can do to protect yourself from check washing. Fill your paper checks out with a gel ink pen. Gel ink is different, the GEL. So just run down to the I don't know what you have here in town,
Dollar store.
the dollar store, the grocery store, wherever, Quick Trip might even have them, and buy a 2-pack of gel ink pens, and I suggest keeping those pens with the checkbook. And then next time you need to order checks, I don't think you need to do it right away, but just the next time you need to order checks, ask the bank. My understanding is they now have a special type of security check that if the criminal tries to wash off the ink, basically the whole check just dissolves into nothing, and to protect against that. So maybe next time you need to order checks. Wallets and purses, you certainly don't need me standing up here explaining why it would be a bad day to have your wallet or purse stolen, for obvious reasons, but from the standpoint of identity theft, I bet everybody in here right now has a driver's license or ID card on them. Well, that's got your name, date of birth. Do yourself a favor and don't also carry around the social security card. I still run into people all the time that carry this around with them. There's very few times in life you need the paper card. Day one of a new job, usually HR needs to photocopy it, and the bank needs to photocopy it when you open up certain types of interest-earning retirement accounts. But those are not everyday occurrences, so leave that card at home locked up in the safe. We can always have the number memorized, but in case our wallet or purse is stolen, we don't give an identity thief everything that they need. And then phones. Does everybody seem to carry around one of these? Does anybody have two? Am I the only one here that works for the government? I've got Android, I got iPhone, I got it all covered. So we call these things phones, right? But these are computers. We just literally walk around with computers in our pockets nowadays. Or I walk around with two of them. And access to so much information. My email, my contacts, my text messaging, I might have apps on there for online shopping, digital wallets that remember my payment card information, password managers. The list just goes on and on. Just a treasure trove of info for an identity thief. So make sure your phone is locked. Whatever brand of phone you have, make sure you do the facial recognition, the fingerprint, the type in a code or a pattern. Make sure that you have to do that thing every single time you want to open up your phone. I know it's a pain, but you don't want someone else to just be able to click a button, swipe up on the screen, and have access to all of that info. Skimming devices at gas pumps and ATMs. Have you heard about these? So I'm going to mainly talk about gas pumps, but yes, they can happen at ATMs as well. These are devices a criminal will put on a machine. There's external devices. There's a picture right here of an external one held in place with hot glue, double-sided tape, maybe super glue. And what it is a special scanner that reads the magnetic stripe on the back of your whatever card you're going to use to pay for gas that day. Your account number is embedded in that magnetic strip, and it's not encrypted. Just a cheap scanner can read that. The criminal will grab those numbers, and then they have the account number for your debit cards and credit cards. They transfer that to a fake plastic card. They effectively have a cloned copy of whatever card you use to pay that day. But technology gets better and better. Now there's internal skimmers that they can put in place with Bluetooth technology. They don't even have to come back to the machine and remove the skimmer. They can just hook up wirelessly and download all that stolen information. But we still gotta live our lives and drive around and pump gas and pay for it. And, you know, how do we navigate this and not expose our information or try to make it safer, if you will. So I kind of came up with a little chart here of kind of the best ways to pay from the standpoint of identity theft. I put cash at the top. I mean, it's kind of hard to steal my identity if I pay with, you know, a couple $20 bills for the gas that I pumped today. But if you want to use a plastic card to pay, I kind of have, you know, best to worst. So I think the best way to pay right now is if your card allows it, you can do the tap and pay. So either at the gas pump or inside, you know, you just kind of tap your card, the 4 green lights, you know, light up. And that is a way to pay, and everything is encrypted with that transaction. So you're not exposing your account number during that transaction, and you never even put your card into a machine. So there's no way somebody read the mag stripe on the back of it. Next best is the chip. So you see the little chip on the card up there in the corner. When you go inside, you know, you got to put the chip in the bottom of the machine, but you're only putting, what, about that much of the card in the bottom of the machine? Again, that's a really good way to pay, where everything is encrypted. And again, nobody could potentially read the mag stripe on my card. Now let's talk about paying out at the gas pump with either the chip or swiping a card. Some gas pumps take the chip, right? But you still got to put your card all the way inside. So you're still potentially, even though that transaction they're reading the chip, you still potentially ran your card past one of these skimmers. So if you pay at the gas pump, I highly recommend that you use an actual credit card. Credit card offers more protection. So let's talk about the difference here real quick. If a criminal just gets a hold of your credit card number with either a skimmer or who knows how else, and makes a fraudulent charge, the Fair Credit Reporting Act gives you time to notice that charge on your statement, report it to the credit card company, and that's that, you know, we've been through that before, right? Cancel the card, wait for the new one to show up. Any guesses on how much time you have to notice that fraudulent charge?
30 days.
30 days? Double it. 60 days. 60 days from the date of your last paper statement. So the idea is you get 2 full billing cycles to notice, hey, wait a minute, that wasn't me. What's going on here? Call the credit card company and cancel that card. Now let's talk about debit cards. Now this is where it gets tricky. So if a criminal gets a hold of your debit card info, well, first of all, that's your money, right? That's the checkbook. Depending on how the criminal makes the fraudulent charge, and we don't really get to control that, right? your bank or credit union may consider that what they call an electronic transfer of funds. If that's the case, any guesses on how much time you have to notice? I see you cringing, Sarah. Yep, you're right to cringe. I'm going to hint in much less than 30 days. How much time you have to notice that where the bank has to give you the money back? Any guesses? Not even a week. Wow. It's 48 hours. So who checks online banking every other day? You know, honestly, even if all of you raised your hand, I would say, great, good job, keep that streak going forever, because you don't want to miss one of these. But here's the thing, even if you notice it within the 48-hour window, there's now money missing from the checkbook. There's a financial loss. Sure, maybe you noticed it in time, the bank's going to give you the money back, but all this takes time. You know, what if the criminal cleans out your checkbook and tomorrow you need gas, food, groceries, rent is due, the car payment's due, the mortgage is due, and all the money is gone or tied up right now? That's not a good thing. So just be very, very careful with your debit cards. Not just at gas pumps, but you know, honestly, everywhere. You know, you hand it to waitstaff at a restaurant, everybody carries a camera around with them nowadays, click, click, they got a picture of both sides of your card. I don't know up here as much, but down in the Madison area, more and more restaurants are bringing the, you know, the handheld thing or the tabletop thing right up to the table. So your card never leaves your sight. You pay right at the table. Because when the cards disappear in the back room, who knows what's going on back there. So just be careful using your debit card everywhere. I just got done doing a presentation on safe online shopping up in Land O'Lakes. Same thing. Don't recommend shopping online with a debit card. Just the more transactions, the more likely eventually that card's going to fall into the wrong hands, and then you have a financial loss where you're fighting to get your money back. Scams. 10:30 tomorrow morning, Boulder Junction. We're going to go into detail on all of this, but if you can't make it to that presentation, I mean the highlights.
I think you did this program here last year, and we recorded it, so we can also
there we go. You
link
might
to
still
that.
have me recorded. When you're at the receiving end of a communication, an email, a text, a phone call, you just don't know who that is. Artificial intelligence nowadays is just getting better and better every day. One of the things that criminals can do with AI, they can mimic voices now. Mimic voices of family members or friends. So imagine getting a phone call and you recognize the voice of a family member or a friend, but that could just be a criminal impersonating somebody. They try to get you to buy cryptocurrency or Bitcoin or prepaid gift cards and then give that information over the phone, and the money disappears almost immediately and it's very difficult to get it back. So we're going to dive into all these imposter scams tomorrow, or maybe I'm on video somewhere. Yes?
Have you heard anything about an imposter email about you need to renew your passport? I just got that after we traveled out the country, and I thought, who has my passport number or knowing when it's going to expire?
Yeah, I mean, that's all done through the U.S. State Department. I don't think I don't know, maybe they send out emails, maybe they don't, I don't know, but...
They never have in the
yeah,
past.
yeah, that
It
sounds...
was just weird.
It sounds a little scammy, I gotta admit. The one that came out, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, about your unpaid traffic citations, and if you don't take care of them, the tolls was a couple months ago. So I actually have a friend who fell for the toll scam. Real quick story, I'm going to share this with Boulder Junction tomorrow, but my wife and I were on vacation with friends, and our friends had driven to Chicago to fly out of O'Hare's airport to go on vacation with us. Well, day 2 of vacation, you know, one of them gets a text message on their phone, got to pay your tolls from Illinois. But in that moment, it made sense because they had just driven through Illinois like 2 days earlier. You know, you're on vacation, you don't want to deal with this, click, 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 put the debit card information in, debit card, right? Thought they were paying $50 in tolls, hit pay, and because they have online banking linked up to their phone, immediately got a pop-up notification of a pending $587 charge. Because this has nothing to do with really paying your tolls. It's just criminals stealing payment card information and then trying to get as much money as possible. I don't know how they picked $587, Maybe they thought that would fly under the radar, I'm not sure, but you know, they were able to contact their bank right away and put a stop to it, but you know, out of state, debit cards compromised, all the money in the checkbook's tied up with a pending transaction that didn't get cleared up until well after we were back home. It kind of messed up all of that stuff, just from clicking on a link in one of those scam messages. So, yeah, there's a whole separate presentation. It'll take about an hour tomorrow to go through all of that. Data breaches, another way they get our personal information. Have you ever got one of these letters? You know the letter, you know, we take your data privacy very seriously, Mom. And then they let you know how some bad actor broke in and accessed those computers and got those files. Now, if the data breach included your name, your date of birth, and your social security number, that information never expires. We already talked about that. So it seems to be the industry standard for these data breaches is many companies will offer you 1 year of credit monitoring for free from a company called Kroll or maybe Experian, one of the credit reporting agencies. It's not bad coverage, but the smart criminals know that a year from now, everybody in this room has the same name, date of birth, and social security number, and that information is still valid. So sometimes they'll sit on these data breaches for a year or two or more. They all get posted to the dark web, and they you know, all this information is bought and sold, the black market, and it's just a matter of time before a criminal gets to one of those data breaches that you were a part of, or I was a part of, and they try to do something with that info. You know, there's not much you can do about this. It's through no fault of your own. You know, we're just at the mercy of all these different places that have our info. Hopefully they keep their computers up to date and secure and don't let the bad guys break in. You know, sometimes we don't get to say no, right? The government has our info, healthcare has our info, all of our employers have our info. But sometimes we do get to say no. You know, when you're signing up for a new app on your phone and they want you to create an account. You know, I just was talking about safe online shopping up in Land O'Lakes, you know. Do you create a new account when you're getting ready to shop at this new website? You know, the more times you do that, you're handing out your info, well, you'll probably be more likely to be a part of a data breach in the future. Social networking, are you on sites like this? Facebook and Snapchat and Instagram, is the library making like viral TikTok video?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay, it's coming, it's coming. Great way to stay in touch with family and friends. I'm not here to say social media is evil, that's a different presentation, I don't do that one. But, you know, like when you call the bank nowadays and they ask you all those password questions to make sure you are who you say you are? Well, that's a good thing, right? Because of artificial intelligence, we don't want our bank to just recognize my voice as a customer, make me answer those questions every time. A lot of the answers to those questions, though, we can find on social media, or criminals can find on social media. So be careful what you're posting. Dare I say, do we sometimes overshare on social media? Another thing to watch out for on social media is something called an imposter account. So let's say you're on social media and there's a criminal out there and they see your social media profile. But you're not friends with them, right? I mean, this is just some stranger in the world. And so they can't see your posts, but all they do is just, you got a bomb ready to go off? They can't see your post, but all they do is they just screenshot your profile picture, and then they create a brand new account, and they just use your name. Now they have control of an account that looks just like yours. Now if they can see who you're friends with, they'll send out messages to all of your friends, and it'll look like it came from you. Or maybe you've been on the receiving end of these messages from other people. And the messages will always have a link they want you to click on. Oh my goodness, did you see who died? And there's a link. Or, oh, I didn't know you were on YouTube, and it looks like a YouTube link. And it's always, you want to click on it, see what's going on, you know, fear of missing out. But don't click those links unless you know for sure who sent it to you. One thing that seems pretty effective to cut down on this behavior is set your friends list to private. where even your other friends can't see who you're friends with. So then, if a criminal creates an imposter account, well, if they can't even see who you're friends with, who are they going to send all those fake messages to? Seems to be one of the better ways to kind of stop this. We're going to talk a little bit about passwords coming up. Probably best not to get investing advice from somebody you're talking to online. Department of Financial Institutions deals with an investment scam it's called pig butchering. It's often associated with romance scams and cryptocurrency, and often online people that talk people into investing and end up losing a lot of money. All right, how do you protect yourself from all this stuff? So we already talked about keeping your phone locked, whatever technology is built into your phone for that. Keep all of your devices up to date. Outdated operating systems are one of the easier ways criminals can break into your device. I mentioned this earlier, don't click those links unless you know for sure who sent it to you. Don't click the link in the Illinois toll message. I think this morning on the Today Show, they were talking about whether or not you should click the unsubscribe button on the bottom of an email. So here's the thing, a lot of times we sign up for emails, and we've done so over the years, and maybe now you're tired of getting these emails from all these businesses. Businesses are required to have an unsubscribe button at the bottom of their emails. Now, if you know that you're clicking on the real email from a real business that you signed up for, that's what that's for. Click the unsubscribe, and the business, will stop sending you those emails. Here's the problem. The criminals can make their emails look just like the real ones, and it's very difficult, or can be impossible, to tell whether it's real or not. So it's risky business. I've gotten to the point where I don't click the unsubscribe button because I don't want to hand out my email address potentially to a criminal. I make one mistake and I put my email address in the hands of the criminal, and now they're just going to bombard me with more of these scam messages. I believe that was the advice on the Today Show as well, was they said don't click those messages, those links. Just set up like filters and different things in your inbox to get rid of the stuff you don't want to see anymore.
That was, okay.
Yeah.
But sometimes I've received something, an email that, I don't know if it's coming in, I don't remember to order anything, and when you hit the unsubscribe, it's not like other ones where they want your name and your email address. Then the legitimate ones quite often still want that, and you're thinking, well, don't they have my email because they already sent me an email. So it's weird how it seems real inconsistent.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I guess that's what you could do, is if you don't recognize the company that sent it out, and you hit unsubscribe, and then they ask for your name and email, you just back out of it, right? And don't hit.
Yeah, I don't even want to click on the link unless
Really?
I know for sure. Who knows what that does to your device
true.
to click on the link.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think it's best to just delete them, and if you see too much of this stuff in your inbox, set up filters and things that just automatically get rid of it to keep your inbox cleaner. Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Only install apps from trusted locations. So if you have an iPhone, there's only one place you can go, the App Store, and Apple does a pretty good job of vetting out their apps so that I think the idea is you're supposed to be able to trust everything that's in the App Store. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. With an Android phone, these things are basically like pocket laptops. I mean, you can go right to a website and you can just download apps right from websites. Be very careful with that. I recommend sticking to the major app stores, even on the Android platform, which are also vetted out. Try not to download stuff right from websites. There's just too many fake apps out there, too hard to navigate. All right, quick little 2-minute video here. I don't know what the volume is, if we're good. It takes a second. Oh.
Many hotels, coffee shops, airports, and other places offer free Wi-Fi hotspots. They're convenient. Unfortunately, they often aren't secure. That could make it easy for someone else to access your online accounts or steal your personal information. So, what can you do to reduce your risk? Encryption is the key to keeping your information secure online. When information is encrypted, it's scrambled into a code so others can't get it. How can you be sure your information is encrypted? 2 ways. 1. Use a secure network to access the internet. Don't assume that a public Wi-Fi network uses encryption. In fact, most don't. You can only be sure that a network uses effective encryption if it asks you to provide a WPA or WPA2 password. If you aren't sure, it's best to assume the network is not secure. The second way to protect your information is to send it through a secure website. A secure site will encrypt your information, even if the network doesn't.
Oh, right mid-video?
If the web address starts with HTTPS, then your information is encrypted.
So we're connected to the monitor here with a wireless connection. And Sarah and I knew it was going to time out on us.
Forward center. The S stands for secure. Look for HTTPS on every page you visit, not just when you log in. If you use an unsecured Wi-Fi network to log into an unencrypted website, strangers using that network can hijack your account and steal your private documents, contacts, family photos, even your username and password. If that happens, an imposter could use your email or social networking account to pretend to be you and scam people you care about. Or a hacker could use your password from one website to try to log into a different account and access your personal or financial information. Here are some steps you can take to protect yourself when you use a public Wi-Fi hotspot. Only log in or enter personal information on secure sites that use encryption. Again, look for a web address that begins with HTTPS. Don't use the same username and password for different sites. It could give someone who gains access to one of your accounts access to many of your accounts. Never email financial information, including credit card, social security, and checking account numbers, even if the network and website are secure. Don't stay permanently signed into accounts. When you've finished using a site, log out. The bottom line, secure Wi-Fi hotspots require a password. Secure websites start with HTTPS. Remember, it's easy to find trusted information about computer security. Just visit onguardonline.gov, the federal government site to help you be safe, secure, and responsible online.
All right. Who can remember how to tell whether Wi-Fi is secure or not?
Is it S after HTTP?
So that's on the websites.
Oh.
Yep. So when we're like doing online shopping and things like that, we always want to look for that HTTPS. That'll tell me if a website is secure. But like right now, I'm hooked up to the library's Wi-Fi with my laptop, and I didn't have to put a password in. I was just able to connect to the library. I don't even remember what it was called, but it was just an open network. So that is not secure. Now that's fine. I'm just using the internet to play a YouTube video from the FTC. But on an open network like that, I wouldn't want to do online shopping or online banking. So wait till you're at, the easiest way to remember it is if you're not sure, wait till you're at home on a secure network to do that sort of thing.
Question,
Yes,
so you're on the library's Wi-Fi.
yes.
How much of what you're showing us is already out there? Do you know what I'm saying? If somebody, so a lot of local people park out after hours.
Oh, sure.
And if you were conducting this presentation then, could they somehow,
A very
know what you're
computer savvy person could also be connected to this open Wi-Fi network, and they can see what's going on all the computers that are also connected to the same network. I am not a computer savvy person like that, but there are people out there that are computer geniuses, and they're really good at that. So if you often find yourself connected to an open network, like, the library is one of the few places in town you get a good internet connection, and you need to do things while you're hooked up to the internet, I would recommend using a VPN. So that is a virtual private network. The VPNs are good. The problem is you usually have to pay for them. They're not free. So, I'm VPN, so it stands for Virtual Private Network. Generally, when I'm doing these types of presentations down in Madison, I tell people I don't think you need to worry about VPNs because we're spoiled down there. We got 4 or 5G connections on our phones, and there's cell service everywhere, and there's secure Wi-Fi everywhere, and all of this. But I understand you go to the Northwoods, and it's not necessarily the case, right? So I'm not saying everybody here needs to run up buy a VPN, but that's an option if you often find yourself hooked up to open networks and you need to do shopping and you need to do online banking and things like that.
Thank you.
Also with our computers, a lot just like our phone, make sure that things are updated. Don't click those links, have I said that enough times, on all your devices. Antivirus, anti-malware, firewall protection. Just to put it in perspective for folks, I recently looked up the most expensive antivirus protection that I could find that comes with a 1-year subscription to LifeLock, one of those identity theft companies and all this, and the most expensive one I could find was about $100 for the year. I've recently talked to 2 people, one in the Madison area and one in Chippewa Falls, just in the last 2 weeks. The lady in Madison, over the last 5 or 6 years, she thought she's been working with an IT person to keep her computer protected, letting somebody remote access in and install antivirus software, and she has spent $3,700 over the last 5 or 6 years on probably worthless antivirus coverage. And the gentleman I talked to in Chippewa Falls, Menominee, a one-time install and it cost him $1,000. So I'm now making a point of making sure I tell everybody, even if you pick the most expensive option, it's never going to be more than $100 for the year. Most of the options I looked at were $10 or $20 for the whole year, and there are many free options out there as well that you don't even have to pay for it. I can tell you in my adult life, I don't think I've ever paid for antivirus protection. But you want to make sure you have your computer protected. Okay, here's a whole list of things that we can do to protect ourselves. Remember somebody digging through the trash? Well, shred it before we throw it away. There's an easy thing that we can do. Take the important stuff right to the post office. I like to take the important stuff inside the post office and drop it off. I even remember back to my days in law enforcement, the criminals would take old license plates, wrap them with duct tape, sticky side out, tie a string to them, throw them down inside the blue bins, jiggle them around to go fishing, see how many letters they could get to stick to them. And I know some of the mailboxes have those anti-theft devices, but they can still work around that. Take it inside, most likely gets to where it's going. Always say yes to something called 2-factor or multi-factor authentication. So I think, when's your next program, Sarah?
The 16th.
They're going to talk about passwords and passkeys and things like this. So multi-factor authentication ties into this. With all of your logins, you always want to say yes. So you know when you you probably already know what this is. When you put a username or password in and you get that text message or email with a 6-digit code, and then you also have to put that code in to complete the login, that's what this is. So the idea is a criminal out there in the world somewhere might figure out your username and password. But that same criminal probably doesn't have this in their pocket, because this is in my pocket. So they don't get the text message with that code, they don't get the other part of the login, so they can't complete it. Plus, it's nice for me. What if I was standing here in front of you right now and wait a minute, here's a text message from Amazon with my code to complete my login, and I'm not currently logging into Amazon. It's kind of a nice real-time notification. Uh-oh, my password's been compromised, time to change it. If you don't have this on, and a criminal hacks into your account, the first thing they do is turn that on, link it to an email or a phone number you don't have access to, effectively locking you out of recovering access to your own account. Happens with social media all the time. You can sign up for something called the e-Notify from the DOT, just a free thing you can sign up for. Get an email or a text, your choice, whenever there's a transaction on your DMV record. So let's say you go to the DMV, you renew your license plates, you get a text message that that transaction went through. Cool. But what if you were sitting here right now and you got a text message that somebody just went and changed your address or printed off a duplicate ID card and it wasn't you? Again, kind of a real-time notification. The post office, excuse me, offers something called informed delivery. If you sign up for this, you get an email every morning. I get my email at about 7:30 in the morning. If I open it up and I download the photos, I get to see all the pictures of the pieces of mail that are going to show up to my house today. So I know right away in the morning, what if I'm getting important stuff? Get it out of the mailbox right away. What if, my wife goes and checks the mailbox this evening and that item is not there, but at least I know what I'm missing. The postal carrier lose it, they deliver it to the wrong house, somebody steal my mail, but at least I know to follow up, with what I was supposed to get. Now, I heard from somebody up at Land O'Lakes, we're in the Northwoods, so there's usually a little bit of maybe a 1 or 2 day delay. So the email you get today might be the mail you're getting the next couple days, but at least you know generally that something's on the way. I mentioned earlier that they'll try to steal your taxes. We can now actually proactively protect our taxes. So here's how it works. There's nothing out there that really stops a criminal from filing fake taxes in your name and trying to steal money. So both the IRS and the state of Wisconsin Department of Revenue offer something called an identity protection PIN number. If you sign up for this, next December, the IRS is going to send you a letter in the mail. And inside that paper letter is a 6-digit code. And next tax season, whenever you file your taxes, there's a spot on your paperwork for that code to go. This works if you file with paper, if you file electronically, if you use a CPA or a service, no problem. Just give them the code, they know exactly where it needs to go. Then when the IRS receives your filing, it's got the code on it, it knows it actually came from you. If you don't sign up for this, and a criminal out there in the world somewhere tries to file a fake tax document in your name, the IRS is going to receive 2 tax filings under your name and SS number. They don't know which one's real and which one's fraudulent. So the way it works, they freeze the whole file. It takes them about 9 to 12 months to do their investigation. It's an absolute nightmare. And then after you go through the whole process, the IRS is going to make you sign up for this, whether you like it or not. Every victim I have talked to that has gone through this, they all tell me, I wish I could just go back in time and sign up for that. It would have saved me so much headache. So we might as well just go and jump through the hoops right now and go through that process. Passwords. I know that there's going to be a program coming up to the library here, more on passwords and passcodes, but how does everybody keep track of all your passwords? Paper. Okay, there's one option. So just like the video says, you don't want to use the same password for multiple accounts. But the problem is we have too many passwords. You can't remember all these things. So, we're humans. We're going to figure out workarounds. Many people, they just have a base password with a number at the end of it. Every time you change your password, the number goes up by 1. Hopefully that didn't hit too close to home. The number 1 password in the US, any guesses? Password. Or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sometimes I think we make it too easy on the bad guys to break into this stuff. But you can't remember this stuff. So how do you do it? I'm okay with the notebook. You write it down, it allows you to have different passwords, really good, complicated, long, strong passwords for all of your accounts. You just go to the book when you're getting ready to log in, you look up the username and password, you leave that at home locked up. I mean, can somebody figure out where you live and burglarize your house? Sure, but what are the chances of that? That's pretty secure. Another option is something called a password manager. So these are sometimes built into our devices, and there are many third-party aftermarket managers you can download. Many of them are free. What a manager will do is automatically create, store, organize, and fill in the correct password for you when you're getting ready to log into something. But it won't do it until you put in your master password. So in essence, you only need to remember one good, strong master password, and then the manager will do all of the rest of the work. Now, hopefully what's going through your head right now is, like, wait a minute, like 3 slides ago, this guy was talking about data breaches, and what happens when the password manager company has a data breach and all my passwords are leaked, and that sounds like it's going to be a nightmare to deal with. All password managers that I'm aware of all use something called 256-bit encryption. So if you remember back to algebra class, that is the number 2 to the 256th power. It's an astronomically big number. I've actually been told that today's computers, it would take about 11 trillion years to break that level of encryption. So even if the criminals break in and they steal those encrypted files, there's really nothing they can do with them. So it's good that the FBI recommends we use password managers. If it's good enough for the FBI, right, Sarah, I give them a thumbs up. Whoa. All right, just a couple slides left here for you. Check your credit report. Everybody here gets free access to your credit report. It used to be once every 12 months, but online they just changed it permanently. You can check your credit report weekly. So you can basically check it as often as you want. So let's go back to that very first scenario I gave you. Somebody goes to a big box store, they open up a credit card, they go on a shopping spree, and 9 months later you get this phone call from a bill collector. You hang up on them, you think it's a scam phone call. Now you're wondering, wait a minute, is that a scam phone call? Was I right to hang up on that caller? Or am I the victim of identity theft? How do I get to the bottom of whether this is real or not? Check your credit report. Either there's an entry into your credit report for a credit card with an outstanding balance of $5,000, or there's not. If there's not, well, yeah, that was a scam phone call, and you were right to just hang up on them, and everything with the credit report looks good, and you can sleep easy. But oh my goodness, what if you check your credit report and there is an outstanding entry on there? That was a real bill collector. You're the victim of identity theft. Now, you're probably going to have to report it to the police, maybe even my agency. It's going to be a process. We can help you recover from it, but it's going to be a process. But how about we stop it all from happening in the first place? This is the handout I have for everybody. This is the most important thing. You only take one thing away from today's presentation. Please, this. Freeze your credit. Here's how it works. When your credit is frozen, no one can open up a new line of credit in your name. So if that criminal tries to open up that credit card, they'll be denied at the cash register because your credit's frozen. They try to get an auto loan in your name, a personal loan, denied. They go to the phone store and try to sign up for the 2-year plan and take the iPhone and run, denied because your credit is frozen. But you as the consumer, you still have access to your credit. Let's say later this year you need to buy a car. Well, you go to the dealership, you pick out your car, you can temporarily lift this credit freeze in as little as an hour. So you just open up a little window, tell the person, apply my name for the loan for this car, you get approved, and then refreeze your credit to stop other people from doing bad things with your personal information. So it's a couple extra little hoops to jump through. In order to freeze your credit, you have to contact all 3 credit reporting agencies separately from each other. Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. All this information is on your handout. You can do it over the phone, you can do it online, and you can do it through the mail, but most people I talk to don't want to photocopy their social security card and send it through the mail. So most people opt for the online or the phone version of this. You're going to have to answer some questions based on your credit report to prove that you are who you say you are. So here's my pro tip for you. You're getting ready to do this? get all 3 copies of your credit report and have them sitting there right in front of you. So when one of these companies asks you, what was the name of that bank you had a loan with in 2010 for that motorcycle? Oh. And you give them the correct answer. And you answer all their questions correctly, prove you are who you say you are, and then they will freeze your credit. If you don't answer the questions correctly, they're not going to believe that you are who you say you are, and then they're going to make you do it through the mail. And like I said, nobody wants to photocopy that and send it through the mail. So please answer those questions correctly, and then once your credit's frozen, it's permanent, and you can sleep well at night. It took me about 20 minutes to freeze all 3 of them. Okay, do you need to sign up for this, the Identity Theft Protection Insurance? I mean, if I could look into a crystal ball and I knew next year you were going to suffer horribly complicated forms of identity theft, yeah, I'd probably want those folks on my side. But most identity theft, it's free to recover from. Our services are free. Some of this stuff you can even do on your own. They really can't do anything that you can't do yourself. You can freeze your credit. You can monitor your bank statements and credit card statements. Do you want to be the one to stay on top of it? You want to pay somebody else to stay on top of it? And then you got to look and see what does it cost, what's the coverage, just like all insurance. So it makes sense for some people. It doesn't make sense for others. You get a lot of questions about this, so we recently added this slide for the home title identity theft. So first of all, what this is not you going on vacation in Florida and coming home and finding somebody living in your house. That's squatting. Wisconsin does not have squatters' rights. That's an easy call to the police to help you out. What this is identity theft, and it's one of 2 things that a criminal can do. They may try to take out a home equity line of credit against your house. Well, if you freeze your credit, that stops all new lines of credit, right? That takes care of that. The other thing that they might try to do is file fraudulent paperwork with the county register of deeds for whatever county you own property in. They try to get it switched into their name, and then they try to do a quick sell and just grab money at closing before this gets discovered. Now, there's 72 counties in Wisconsin. I don't know where you own property, but and each one is different. Many of them now have some kind of a notification alert system in case paperwork is filed for a property that you own. I recommend signing up for that. So if all of a sudden you get an alert that paperwork was filed and it wasn't you doing something, well then you know somebody else is up to no good and you can put a stop to it before it gets more complicated. Lastly, I hope this doesn't happen to you. I hope the bill collectors aren't calling and the cards are showing up in the mail and the loan paperwork showing up in the mail and W-2s at the house and the IRS is coming down on you. But if it's happening and you feel like you're drowning, just remember we exist. We're all the way down in Madison. We're here to help you with this. You're going to probably have to file a police report and file a report with us, and we'll help you get it all cleared up, and it's going to take some time. And then, just going to throw this up on the screen. I think I've been here for most of these now. These are my other presentations that I offer. So today was identity theft. Tomorrow, common scams and fraud in Boulder Junction. I just got done doing safe online shopping up in Land O'Lakes. For the landlords and the renters, we've got presentations. For the homeowners, we've got a presentation for things to consider before entering into a contract with a home improvement company to do work on your home. Some of the more business type presentations that we regulate. So I'm just going to kind of leave that up on the screen and you can take a look at that while we open it up for questions. Yes?
What do you do about, you get a notice that your information is on the dark web and you start looking around?
Ah, good question, yeah.
There's 38 or 40 of them.
Yep.
And
So there's sometimes your credit card company will scan the dark web. There's some websites out there that will scan the dark web and look for your name and all this. I can make this really simple for you. If I know your information with 100% accuracy is on the dark web, I'm going to tell you to freeze your credit. It's the best thing that you can do. let's just pretend for a second with 100% accuracy, I know that your information is not on the dark web, the criminals have no idea who you are, and you're the bottom of the list for having your identity stolen. Guess what I'm going to tell you to do? I'm still going to tell you to freeze your credit. So it's kind of irrelevant. You know, I can also put your mind at ease that all of your information is on the dark web. There's no way that your information is not. Maybe that wasn't putting at ease, right? I got to come up with a better way of wording that. There are thousands of data breaches every year. Whether you know you've been a part of one or not, I guarantee you have. It's real. Your information's out there on the dark web, so freeze your credit before the criminals get to it and try to do something with it. Here's the really nice thing about having your credit frozen. Then when you get future data breach notification letters or future notifications that your information's on the dark web, you've already done the best thing possible. You don't even have to worry about those letters or those notifications. You don't even have to worry whether that data breach notification letter is even real or not, if I need to sign up for this credit monitoring, because you've already done something better and more permanent. That's what I meant by putting your mind at ease. Freezing your credit will put your mind at ease.
What about thoughts about this? I use a couple of different email addresses, some just for shopping online.
Sure.
And what about just opening down an email address and opening up a new one? Does that help at all?
Oh, I mean, you can. I mean, it'll be a bit of a hassle to then let family and friends and whoever you need to let know about your new email address, and eventually, like wherever you use that, it's going to start to, you're going to start to get junk in your email inbox. I have had the same email address for like, I don't know, since the 90s, I think, and yeah, I get a lot of junk in the email inbox, but I just set up filters and just keep things, you know, clean as I can. I'm sure if I went to a computer expert that really helped me set up filters properly, I could probably make it much better. So there's good strategies. I don't think you need to get a new email address.
And I will just jump in and say that we do provide, you know, not only walk-in technology assistance for simple things, but we also have a technology appointment system. So if you ever want help kind of setting up those filters or deciding what's spam, and we can absolutely help with that here. Yeah.
Wonderful.
When you talk about freezing your credit, I got a little confused. You can still use your credit card
Yes,
at any time, any place, any reason?
Yep.
Okay.
So this does not affect existing agreements that you've already entered into with credit card companies and loan, you know, your home loan, your auto loans, your credit cards that are in your purse and wallet, those are all already established. This just stops new stuff from being opened up. Honestly, the only person I would say hold off on this is if you are in the middle of refinancing a house with the bank, you don't want to mess that up. But if I knew that you needed to buy a new car later this summer, I'm still going to tell you to freeze your credit. And then a month or so from now, you need to buy that car, you go to the dealership, pick out the car, talk to the finance person. They know all about this. They know how to work through that with you.
Okay, so what if your home is paid, you don't have a mortgage, your car's paid, you don't owe anybody?
If you're not using your credit to buy stuff, then I think it's even more of a no-brainer to freeze your credit.
Okay.
Because you're not even, or a person like that is not even using their credit, so you might as well freeze it. So the best example is like buying a car, you know, and I guarantee the finance person, they know which of the 3 credit reporting agencies they do their credit check with. That's what they do every day. So that buying the car is the easy one. The finance person will tell you, oh, we use TransUnion. You only need to lift the freeze with TransUnion. You can leave the other 2 alone. Get a proof of that new car loan. Now you only have to worry about refreezing TransUnion or whichever one it is. The more complicated example is, oh, let's say you're out shopping on Black Friday, and you sign up for today's credit card, you can save 20% off today's bill. Well, if someone wanted to say yes to that, I almost guarantee the clerk at a retail store has no idea which of the credit reporting agencies the system uses to do a credit check. So you might have to lift all three to sign up for a new store credit card. And then once that's done and you get approved, you might have to refreeze all three. And then the other one I see people run into is the new iPhone comes out, or the new Samsung phone, or Google phone, or whatever, and you want to go get the brand new phone, and you kind of forget that your credit's frozen, and then you'll be sorely disappointed when you walk away from the phone store that day and you didn't get your new phone, because they don't hand them out for free, and that's actually a line of credit, as long as you pay your bill for the next 30 months. So you may have to remember to lift that freeze temporarily when you need to get the new smartphone, if you're not just buying one outright. But yeah, I had this exact same conversation with my grandmother before she passed away, and everything was paid off. She wasn't, the house was sold, she was in a home, she's not buying cars, she's not even driving anymore. I was like, Grandma, you're not even using your credit. Just freeze it so you don't have to worry about somebody else opening something up in your name. And I will just throw that up there at the very end. There's my contact information. If you need to reach out to us, there's our hotline number. It's on the last page of your handout. We're a very easy state agency to reach out to. If you were to call it, well, not right now, they close, they're already closed, but if you call that number tomorrow, our average wait time is only 22 seconds before a real life human being picks up. Not too shabby for calling the government, huh?
And you'll get a real voice.
A real person, not artificial intelligence, not locally based, right in the Madison area.
So do you know those women that appear on NPR once a month on whatever show?
Oh, Michelle?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's our administrator.
Okay.
Yep, she used to be my direct supervisor, and now she's even moved up one more step. Yep, I work with Michelle every week. Yeah.
It's interesting to hear the things that happen to people. It's kind of scary, but
Yeah. Yep.
they do give good advice. It seems like.
Yeah, we've got a good long relationship with NPR, and they go on there and talk about all this stuff as well.
To go on the beaten path, I have a question. On the cell phone, and even on my landline, I still have landline, but I get these phone calls, and like from Pennsylvania, Eau Claire, and after the fourth ring, it's supposed to go to the answering machine, and there's nothing there. So am I supposed to assume that all of those are spam calls?
Yep.
And what, if I would answer them, I would have to worry about AI getting my voice?
Potentially, if you answer them and they get you to talk to them, yes, they could record your voice. They'll try to trick you into saying yes. As soon as you answer, they might say, can you hear me okay? Or am I speaking to? And they'll say your name, and then if you say yes, they might record that. The way I look at it is with these scam phone calls, just the more you answer, the more you talk to them, the more you engage with them. If they can get you to push a button on your phone, all that engagement, that just encourages them. They'll call you more often because they might not have got you today, but they think, well, maybe tomorrow I'll put the right scam in front of you, as long as I know you're willing to answer and listen to what I have to say. I don't want to give them that encouragement. So the best advice is don't answer if you don't recognize the number. Just let it go to voicemail. If it's a legitimate call, somebody will leave you a message. You can always check that later and make sure that you didn't miss something important.
Because it seemed to me, well, I got the letter from AT&T that actually told me I was on the dark web, and it went back to like almost 20 years ago, whatever the incident was. And ever since then, I can get 5 to 10 calls a day.
Oh, yeah.
And it's always that it's wrong time, and stuff like that. So I was just curious if they really are all spam calls coming.
Yep. I mean, I believe so. I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, not every one of our phone calls are fake, but most of those numbers you don't recognize where they don't leave messages, yeah, they're just scams.
Yesterday I was to another presentation by two Vilas County detectives, and they said pretty much the same thing Jeff said. When you answer the phone, all it takes is 3 seconds and they got you. So you shouldn't answer your phone if you don't recognize the number. And on the cell phones, like I get calls that say that the number is verified, don't even answer those. They can leave you a message.
Only takes 3 seconds.
See, that's it.
Wow.
You know, artificial intelligence with only a 3-second sample, it's probably not going to be a very good example of your voice, but, you know, 3 seconds, I mean, that's barely a sentence. They can get you to talk to them for a couple minutes. The more sample they have, the better that computer will be able to mimic your voice. Or the voice of a grandchild, or a family member, or a friend. And it puts a whole new twist on some of these scam phone calls when we recognize the voice at the other end of the line who's crying with you on the phone and, you know, asking for money.
We were told a story yesterday in Vilas County that there was a call made from someone's supposed grandchild, and they were to send money, and they did, and it was a scam, and the detective said, "Do you have a grandchild?" "Well, no, but if I did, I wanted to help them." Why would you send money to somebody?
Well, probably just thought somebody was in distress and wanted to help. But yeah, we'll, this is the presentation for tomorrow, and I have a video, and we talk about the grandparent scam and all those other emails and texts and phone calls that we get where they just impersonate whoever they think they can be that day to try to steal your money.